Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Is Paranormal or Unexplained. I'm your host, Nick, my co host, Jason,
What up, everybody?
and I know it's not the weekend. We're trying to get a better story together for all of you, but this week is Jason's turn, and he's picking Tales of the Sea, so I will give it to him, and he will take it away.
All right. Yeah, so I got a. Some of these stories most of them are mainly paranormal, but a couple of them just kind of stretch out to the freaky and weird.
And I know
So I
it's not
just
the
wanted to give
weekend.
a little. What's that?
No, go ahead.
I said I just wanted to give a little bit of each into every category of the sea for a little bit of a short one.
Right, right, that's fine.
So, but the first one I have is the tale of the Lady Lovabond. It's a love, jealousy, and a rage story, and it's freaking crazy. So apparently, according to the legend, we do know the ship sailed, we do know it sank, we do know everybody died on board, but the circumstances to why it did have always been left a mystery, and the biggest legend out there that tries to solidify why this happened was that there was a wedding that was taking place on the ship during the travel,
Mm-hmm.
and it was actually the captain's wedding. And while the wedding took place and they were celebrating and drinks were being passed around and everybody was getting a little tanked on the ship, the uh, the groomsman, which was the best man, I guess, to the at the time to the captain,
Mm-hmm.
he was actually having a well, I don't know if he was having an affair, but he was in love with the captain's new bride.
Okay.
And they said that like while everybody was drinking and tossed, laughing and singing and dancing, he kind of like just mosey on up to the steering wheel of the ship, and then when it got when the time presented itself and they were close enough to some rocks or something, he steered the ship right into what was called Goodwin Sands, and the ship sank, and everybody was killed on board. But the legend still goes that even still today, even 50 years since that has happened,
Mm-hmm.
witnesses report seeing the same ship with the same identification markers sailing around Kent, not too far from where Goodwin Sands was. It was almost like a little ways between the beginning of their voyage. And some boats have even been seen seeing it and seeing people on board as if they were signaling for distress or signaling for rescue. But by the time the ships can get close and start trying to send out lines and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
they say it just kind of like dissipates like fog in front of them and it's just gone by the time they get up to it.
Okay, so this is like a ghost ship, basically.
Well, now it
Well,
is
yeah,
funny
yeah.
knowing the story when I was talking at the beginning because it set sail on the eve of Valentine's Day and in 1748, and
Mm-hmm.
that was the whole point of it was for the captain's wedding.
Right. So
So,
just because some jealous prick decided to go down, take everybody down with them.
oh yeah, he's like, ain't no pussy but my pussy. So that is the legend of the Lady Lovabond. Not a real long one, but just one of those get you into it. But if we're gonna go into ghost ships, I don't think there's any more one that you can really say. I mean, people will say a lot of different ships, but to me, there's no other more famous than the Flying Dutchman.
All right. And that's
Yeah.
one of the biggest ones of all, pretty much.
Oh yeah, I mean, it is probably one of the most mentioned boats. I mean, ships. Excuse me. Some people take that serious when you call it a boat,
Mm-hmm.
but it's probably one of the most famous ships in maritime folklore. I mean, it's gone on to impact, books, paintings, films. I mean, they've even done operas on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess what the research I've done the most plausible one I found was there was a man by the name of Van, like his first name was Van, middle Der, and then Decken, Van der Decken.
Okay.
And he was a captain. He was on his way to the East Indies,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just determined to try to just steer straight through this horrible storm that he was advised to not go through many times.
Right.
And but he swore that the Dutchman and with his captaining and all that could get through it.
Right.
Well, he failed miserably, and it was right outside of the Cape of Good Hope. And due to the storm being so bad, it would beat the Dutchman up so badly that the sails were tattered and torn, made unsellable, and him and the rest of the crew pretty much went adrift until they died.
Okay.
And so, because of his arrogance and not listening to his crew,
Mm-hmm.
and like pretty much condemning them all to death, him and that crew, unfortunately, are said to be cursed to sail the seven seas, collecting sailors that wouldn't heed the warnings either.
Okay.
So that is with them, but you know, it gives a lot of little things that like a lot of little things I didn't know about the Dutchman. Like, according to legend, if it's actually like held by another ship,
Yeah.
the crew of the Flying Dutchman has said that they will actually be either messages in a bottle or little scraps of paper will either float up to a nearby shore if you're signaling from shore,
Mm-hmm.
or up to the bow of your boat or ship, whatever you're in, and it will be messages to long departed relatives of the crew of the Dutchman.
Huh.
So I guess it's kind of like a little pen pal program they got going on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Messages from the afterlife.
yeah, well, yeah, they only bury the dead of the sea. So unless
Right.
a relative they were writing died at sea, I guess they wouldn't see them.
Well, yeah, that's probably the way it sounds.
But I mean, what do you think that like they'd be able to tell that like hundreds of years have gone by and they're
Well, not if it's just like something that's happening constantly over and over again. They don't realize it.
yeah. But I mean, through all the things, though, the one thing that pretty much remains consistent with everyone, and I guess this is where like the cartoons like Scooby Doo, South Park,
Yeah.
all of them get it, is because they say the most notable feature to the ship of every claim that has ever seen it since the 19th and 20th century. Every claim has said that the whole ship glowed a ghostly light glow. So it was just kind of like it just radiated, I guess, like that ghostly light you would see in movies
Like
and
that
stuff.
kind of greenish light to it.
Yeah, like that. But got away with what for you meddling kids kind of thing.
So
Yeah.
if we ever see it, then we need like a dog, like a stoner guy.
But uh, although the also another thing that does it is even though they say that seeing the ship can come with benefits like you get the messages or get to see the hypnotizing glow of the ship,
Mm-hmm.
but they say that that is only a bonus for people that are on land. That now if you see the Flying Dutchman and you are on a ship or a boat out in the ocean,
Right.
it is like a bad omen of imminent doom.
Really.
Like they're most likely there to ferry you.
So basically, like you have to be aware of some guy with like a face full of tentacles and stuff like that, basically asking him, "Do you
Maybe
fear death?" type of thing.
really strong British accent.
Yeah. Got a giant like claw for an arm.
Took me hard to grab the shaft. But but I mean, it goes on from all the way from night, like I mean, it says here, even in the like late 18th century, stories of the Dutchman were heard.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was it the original Dutchman? Was it the some kind of like other version that just later got called the Dutchman? That's been for historians to argue and fight about for years.
Right.
But the one well-known sighting that nobody can contest today, because at one point it was law that this happened, was actually seen by King George V, which at the time he was only Prince George of Wales.
Mm-hmm.
Now he was on a 3-day voyage during his late, uh, probably I guess his late teens or so,
Okay.
and he was sailing with his older brother Prince Albert Victor of Wales,
Okay.
and they had their tutor John Neil Dalton that was riding along with them. Now, they were temporarily shipped into the HMS Inconstant after the ship was suffered a damaged rudder
Okay.
and occurred. So they were then what was called the 4,000-ton corvette Banshee. That was a big luxury ship, like princesses and all that rode on it.
Right. Right.
And they were placed on this. Now, according to the prince's log, which it doesn't really go into which prince said this, but it goes on to say that the publications of what is written was seen by my brother and myself, the princes of Wales. He goes, we hereby convince that this is the truth and all accounts inspired. We hereby say by God that this is truth by all eyes seen. Now, it goes on to say that the records following are the pre-dawn hours of July 11th, 1881, off of the coast of Australia and the Bass Strait between Melbourne and Sydney. Now, these are the exact words written in the journal of one of the princes, but in the thing it says it was seen by both. This was their collective thing that they wrote down as their documentation that they would write into the ship's log.
Mm-hmm.
It says July 11th, 4 a.m. The Flying Dutchman crossed our bows. A strange red light as a phantom ship all aglow, in the midst of which light the masts, spares and sails of a brig 200 yards distant stood out, in strong relief as she came up on the port bow, where also the officer of watch stood on the bridge and clearly saw her, as did the quarterdeck midshipman, who was sent forward at once to the forecastle. But upon arriving, there was no vestige nor any sign whatsoever of any material ship was to be seen, either near or right away to the horizon, meaning it couldn't have been hit close. It wasn't near or far. It didn't get away that quick.
Right.
And this thing goes, the night being clear and the sea being calm. 3 persons altogether saw her, including my brother and I. At 10:45 a.m., the ordinary seaman who had this morning reported the Flying Dutchman fell from the foretopmast crosstrees on the top gallant forecastle and was smashed to atoms. And that is the end of his log.
Hmm.
Now, what that last part means, I'm not entirely sure.
No, I can't really tell you. It sounded like something fell apart and basically just like broke. It sounded like the mast fell apart and broke.
Well, I mean, it was. Well, now he says the Flying Dutchman fell from the top of the top mast. So I'm guessing like the ship was flying at one moment, like over the top of the ship, came down, and when it hit the water at the front of the forecastle, which I'm guessing is the very tip of the ship,
Mm-hmm.
when it hit the water in front of it, it like smashed. It was like atoms smashing, I guess.
Well,
But
I
my
think
question
that I
is,
think when
how did he know what atoms were?
I don't know.
Well, this is 1881.
Okay. It was. Oh, shit. I don't know. I. When was that even like? When were like?
Maybe Adams were some other kind of phrase back then. I don't know.
Probably.
But this all happened, like I said, July 11th, 1881 at 4 a.m. And then the next morning at 10:45 a.m., all the seamen regrouped with the two princes, and they all confirmed and wrote down and collaborated that this was the story.
Okay. So basically, everything that they wrote was.
Well, I guess at first it was more of taken like as another tale,
Mm-hmm.
but when he became king, and then he says this happened, well, I guess by any word of the king, it's by law then.
Right. Right.
To argue with the king is to be death, pretty much, I guess.
Well, yeah. Like I
So,
understand that. So.
so that's, I guess, the one true point that if anything I've ever seen, I've never seen a ghost encounter almost turn into a law.
Well, I don't think it was turned into a law. Basically, more of since he was.
Just to
It's
die that he's seen it.
yeah. Basically, like since he was king, you can't argue his point that what he saw was real. So
Yeah.
that it's not so much law, but it was basically his signed.
I bet you get in trouble saying he was lying, though.
Well, that's the whole entire thing. If like since he became king, and he basically said this is what I saw, so this is real and this is what happened, then if you argue with him, then it's basically you're going to be put to death. It's not the mere fact that it was signed into law; it's just signed into this is like truth matter.
Yeah, well, it's
And
kind of like today how, like, in England, like, the Queen can't be arrested. And the sole reason for that is because according in the written phrasing of the law,
mm-hmm.
is that it's the Queen's law. It's
Right,
her own law.
right,
So she can't break her law. And if
right.
she would probably be like dire consequences, like people would be like, well, the whole system's flawed now.
Well, yeah, yeah,
She probably would be really strict on her game.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I can see that. So, but so we got the Dutch shooting, and we got that. So we'll get away from the ghost ships a little bit, and I'll give you a little bit of mystery involved here. We'll start getting a little mystery here.
Do we have to get Scooby
So,
Doo involved?
no, I don't think he would last long. I mean,
Right.
Antarctica, where we're going now.
Is this gonna involve a
But
thing?
yeah, it do kind of. Well, not a thing, but it's more of a noise.
Okay.
But this is the bloop. And I believe I sent you a recording to it that we'll get to here in a minute.
Yes, you did.
But this comes from the NOAA, which is the uh, National Oceanic. Uh, let's see, I had it written down here. There's a long phrase: National Oceanic and Autonomy Research. There it goes. National Oceanic and Autonomy Research. Man, Christopher Fox, interviewed by David Wallman from an article from New Scientist.
Okay.
Uh, he said he does not believe that the origin of this sound was a man-made sound, uh, such as like a submarine bomb, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the sound that he is talking about was a small sound that was only able to be heard by sonar. It was so faint, but it
Mm-hmm.
was still able to be picked up, and due to technology and the way we have it today, we're actually able to bounce back and see like distances the sound traveled and everything else.
Right. Right.
Well, what made this sound so crazy and made headlines all over the world was that a sound came over the radar that sounded like as the word, as it's called, a bloop, like bloop.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll hear it here in a minute. And it says that the source was a mystery because it would be far more powerful than any calls made by any animal on Earth. It says, but when placed, uh, when sound imagery is placed next to each other of
Mm-hmm.
a wounded animal, a wounded mammal of the sea, is laid on top of this one, the sound waves are almost identical. So to them, it's closer to a mammal sound than anything else. What makes it so weird, though, was whatever made this sound
Uh-huh.
was 3,000 miles away,
3,000 miles deep, you're talking about.
deep away somewhere. They, the all it says here is it says that the one circumferential difference, however, in the 1997 bloop was detected by sensors up to 4,800 kilometers, 3,000 miles apart. That means that they are far louder than any well noise or any other animal noise on the planet for that matter. It is, it says, it goes, scientists have come to a full conclusion and unanimously agree that it is a very high and maybe even small remote possibility that a creature larger than any other mammal on Earth is lurking in the waters. Now, it doesn't say whether it was up or down.
Right.
It just says when this thing made a noise, it was 3,000 miles from wherever they were. But it was loud enough that they picked it up.
Yeah.
So, whatever's that size, I have no idea. But, I mean, like one woman states that with an article with Fox that they initially expected that the bloop was ice calving and glacier tectonic plating in Antarctica, and that it was tectonic plates rubbing together or maybe releasing gas through the plates that caused this sound.
Right. It sounds like how air bubbles basically travel through water, kind of.
Exactly. But they said the problem is with it is the sound imagery. When the sound waves are placed on top of each other to gas escaping, then to a mammal being injured, the sound wave more resembles an animal being injured than it does a tectonic plate shifting or a natural gas escape.
Okay.
So the scientists still lean more towards an animal.
And even then, usually there's no animal big enough that can survive that far down. At least that
Yeah,
we know.
not that we know of because of the pressure.
Right. Right.
So
Obviously, the pressure gets greater as you
yeah,
go deeper into the water.
make it harder for a lot of animals to breathe and survive, and well, that's why whales can't go that deep because of the fact that their bodies already weigh so much with the pressure allowed on top of them would almost make it to where they couldn't breathe underwater.
Well, not even so much breathe. Also, just basically it would just tear them apart, it would just crush
Yeah.
them.
So, but I mean, apparently they're saying there's something huge that I guess can survive that pressure difference
Mm-hmm.
is living down there. What it is, I don't know, but I definitely don't want to find out.
Yeah, that's not something I wouldn't want to find out either. But that's
Yeah,
like where in Antarctica, you said,
yeah,
and we wouldn't have to worry about that anyway.
no, no, not for a while.
Well, not unless we're going to Antarctica anytime
Well,
soon.
unless global warming's true and all the icebergs melt, we're just one big ocean.
Well, that is true too. But even then, we wouldn't have to worry about it because we'd probably be drowned to death anyway, or.
No, I've seen Waterworld. I can make it.
Oh, why would you watch that?
Hey, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't the worst movie they've ever done of a post-apocalyptic world. Been a lot worse.
Yeah, I know, but it just.
The the map's upside down, flip the girl over. But okay, but well, speaking of big creatures that we don't know what they are, I got another one for you.
Okay.
As it says, 2003, scientists tagged a 9 foot great white shark, which you don't know how big 9 foot is. That's uh, probably for most American houses. Don't know what it is for international. But most American houses, that's usually close to like from ceiling to roof. Like the roof is like the floor of your floor to your ceiling. That's about how tall this big this shark was.
Yeah.
So this great white was tagged for a research study off the coast of Australia. Um, but about 2 days into the research and tracking of it, one day they were following it, and just as they were following it, they noticed that the device that was implanted onto this animal all of a sudden started moving rapidly from side to side, as in a like kind of like a serpentine pattern.
Okay. Kind of like
Then
trying to evade something.
almost, and then out of nowhere, just was like a real sharp jolt, and then just plummeted 1,900 feet in a matter of 3 seconds.
Holy shit.
And they said that the body temperature and the temperature of the water at this point would have been too cold for the great white shark, so the great white shark to even survive. So
Right.
even as a defense measure of trying to run for something, this wouldn't have been a path they would have ran because it would have been death either way.
Right. Right.
So that's kind of weird, but it says that the temperature nearly skyrocketed nearly 20 degrees from the device, though.
Mm-hmm.
The outside of the water should have been almost like they said, like 60 to 70 degrees colder than what the device was registering.
Okay.
So, meaning like it was inside something. Something's body heat was keeping it warm.
Right. Right.
And it's saying goes, the only viable explanation, according to researchers, was some sort of massive sea creature must have swallowed it. And they said that why they say swallow instead of eaten, because most of the time when sharks and other animals are chewing up food,
Right.
and they catch something like a hard bone or hard plate, something like that,
Mm-hmm.
they either like reflex throw it up to get it out of their system,
Right.
or they spit it out as they chew,
Right.
and just go back and grab the meat instead of the object that came off.
Right.
So, but they said that whatever this was, it like wasn't tampering with the device, wasn't fighting it, but it was registering at the same temperature as if it was inside the stomach of something.
So,
And
what could have been big enough to swallow a great white shark whole?
well, it says uh, that's been the thing with the scientists that were involved with this study. They're saying that it's been a big debate, and a lot of theories have been floating around, from including like a megalodon shark
Mm-hmm.
and other people. But they said that a lot of scientists are trying to blame and say that the real culprit to this is a sperm whale.
Sperm whale devoured a great white shark whole.
That's what they say. They're thinking that uh, the shark may have been chasing some sort of school of fish
Mm-hmm.
when the sperm whale walked onto that same school of fish as a meal. And when it
Okay.
opened up its mouth to take in the fish, that it swallowed the shark as well.
Would
And
it
then
be would it be able to swallow a shark whole?
I don't know. That's a pretty damn big sperm whale, but I mean,
Well, anything would have to be huge enough to freaking.
but I mean, Well, isn't the sperm whale the world's largest whale too, though?
I don't know. Let me look that up.
I have no idea if that is or not.
Blue whale.
Blue whale. Okay, so it's not even the largest whale, but
100 foot long, upwards to 200 tons.
that's a blue whale or a sperm whale?
Blue whale.
How big is a sperm whale?
Hold on. $62 feet in length.
Now, from 9 feet to 62. I mean, yeah, I think that'd be possible.
I didn't think it would. Length about 40 feet. Yeah.
And the shark was 9 feet.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd be able to.
4 times larger than it.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean it's possible, but I just don't see that.
Mm-hmm. I
But
mean,
I
it
mean,
doesn't sound when you first think about it. It doesn't sound like it would be able to. You know.
no, but one creature that I thought about that does live in the really deep, high pressure areas
Mm-hmm.
and cold that has been a known uh, shark eater that I think could survive the depths because of its not its exoskeleton, but it's the way its body is.
Yeah.
The giant squid.
That's possible. But
But I mean, chance for but the squid only eats through a beak, so the chance for that beak to grab that thing and then swallow it.
it wouldn't swallow it whole anyway. It would tear it apart first and then take bits of it.
Yeah,
It wouldn't swallow it whole.
yeah. So I don't know. As far as something that big, you'd have to think
Yeah. Yep.
like megalodon,
Yeah.
really, because megalodons were known to eat other sharks.
Right. Right.
But yeah, that's just one of those. Like I said, man, that's why I got that fear of the ocean because it's one of those things that like you could be in and just that look down, like if you're in the ocean and you look down into the water and you're staring down past your feet down to the depths and it just gets to that murky deep blue
Right.
and you're like, man, something could be looking at me like that looks fucking good right now, and I'm like, I can't even see it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And this isn't my natural habitat, so I'm not the fastest motherfucker out here. What was that like that old the other guys, Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg, and he's like a lion versus a 200-pound tuna in open water. You lose that fight every time, sir. But well, I got one here for you though because I know you're a fan of not a fan of the aliens, but a believer in them.
Okay.
And it doesn't necessarily say alien anywhere in this,
No.
but according to the pictures and all that, which I've sent you, so you see the pictures of it, you're
Mm.
just not really familiar with what it is yet. But it looks alien to me. But this is called the Baltic Sea Anomaly. Now, in 2011, sonar equipment off of from the diving company called Ocean X detected something strange in a seabed off of the coast of Sweden, measuring 60 meters thick, with evenly placed grooves in the surface. It appeared to be located at the end of some kind of 300-meter long runway. Countless researchers and divers and scientists have proposed their ideas for what this object and its arrangements could actually be, ranging from battleship gun turrets to sedimented displaced by fishing trawlers. Many reports today believe that the object to be a glacier deposit naturally settling into its obscured form, but more people believe off of the outside of the scientific community that there's something more abnormal going on. Either the lost city Atlantis or maybe even aliens.
Well,
But I mean, with those pictures, the thing is just way too detailed to be like, oh, it's just a glacier that just
yeah,
came looking like it was from Predator Requiem.
yeah, yeah. That's way too detailed and like defined for something like that just settled.
Yeah, I mean that almost looks like the Ebon Hawk from Star Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. It's just a. And but then and there's quite a few pictures here. Like two of these of the pictures that you see of the Baltic Sea anomaly, they're actually oh like one's a radar image and one is a satellite image.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one that's in color and you can see the couple of people swimming in it, that is an artist rendition that somebody drew off of the descriptions from divers and other people that are connected to the OceanX company.
Right. Right.
So that is what an artist rendition of like actual accounts and all that say it looks like. And then they use the photos of the thing too from the satellites and stuff.
I mean, it looks like it has steps on the side, so it's leading up to something. So it's not a natural deposit. Like I said, it's way too defined and detailed for a natural deposit or tectonic plate shifting.
Yeah, and then for the fact that they said that it even has like a looks like a 300-meter long runway.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it does. I mean, you remember those like the scenes from like Star Wars where the X-wing fighters are taking off and those little round guard towers that are into the runways.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would say I'd lean more towards Alien, but I mean, that's just because I'm not a big believer in the lost city of Atlantis. But if it was a real thing, this would be the closest I would see to something that we found that could be it.
Right. Right.
Like an outside guard tower wall or something.
Did they try doing any tests on it or anything like that?
Well, now here it says that uh, many geologists and other scientists related to the OceanX program and outside sources to Swedish government scientists have taken uh, microscopic samples of the uh, abnormality. Sorry, I was having trouble with that word for some reason in my head. It was having a problem with the abnormal. Was taking samples of the abnormality and ran it through some kind of like testing, and so that pretty much most of the elements, there was a few here inside of it, but a lot of the major concentrated elements inside this thing doesn't show up on our periodic table.
So it's basically made of elements that don't exist here.
Or we haven't discovered them yet, meaning they're so deep into the Earth's core we haven't found them yet.
Right.
So it's either somebody had technology or something more advanced to dig deeper than we did to make this,
Mm-hmm.
or it didn't come from here. But that's also why they lean toward glacier deposits somehow, is because it could have been parts of the Earth that have just now become unearthed.
Right, and I understand that, but I mean, again, that figure is just way too defined to be something that's.
Oh yeah, that looks like somebody put like artwork behind it.
Yeah, like they chiseled the shit out of it and made it into something. So, I mean, that's.
Yeah, somebody looked like they were proud of that when they were done.
Yeah.
I mean, because you look at it. I mean, it even has like that Millennium Falcon like hook around to it, and like the nose that would look like where a pilot would sit almost.
Yeah.
And from the top and from the side, it looks like a ship. But then from that artist rendition, it looks almost like a guard tower.
Right.
So I guess depending on where you're looking at is where you get your perspective.
Right. Right.
But I mean,
And when was this?
2011.
Okay.
Uh,
And they never said there was no entrance or anything like that
Not
located on this thing.
where in or out of the object, it just seems to be one solid mass. None of their radar or X-ray machinery has been able to penetrate the outer side of it because of the materials it's made from, and so they haven't been able to get like an X-ray look inside or sonar of anything inside of it. All they know is the outer look, and this is it. Now I don't know if they've excavated any more. I tried to find if they've looked any more for it.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're still doing research and tests on it. It doesn't say by who, but it didn't go into whether or not they were trying to excavate it either.
Right.
Which I would think that'd been something they would have been trying to do already.
Right. Right.
But maybe because of what it's made from, they can't excavate it. I don't know.
Or the size of it, and trying to they're afraid
Yeah,
of damaging it, trying to take it out.
yeah, because I mean, there's a lot of battleships that sank in World War One and Two that we just never brought back up, and people are still inside just because of the sheer size of it.
Right. Right.
So, but I mean, like you said, that wasn't an accidental design by
No.
any means.
No. That's not nature made at all. There's no way. I mean, if that was made by nature, then that is like the most messed up thing
I
that's
mean,
created.
I see things that are pretty wild
Right.
that nature's made that look pretty sci-fi or like something that would come from Rick and Morty or something.
Right.
Even some that did look like ships,
Mm-hmm.
but they, after running tests and stuff, came back to be just natural formations ran through like water or
Mm-hmm.
heat, cold, or some environmental messing with it, whether it was us polluting or temperature changes or just water running through it that shaped it that way.
Right.
Yeah, it didn't come back with mysterious elements.
Right. Nothing that we discovered so far. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big red flag. I don't know how natural that is.
Right.
And I understand that we are talking about the ocean and
Mm-hmm.
that we've only mapped 8% of it.
Right.
I mean, we've only discovered 8% of the ocean, so there could be a lot of minerals and shit out there we just haven't discovered yet.
Right. Right. I agree with you on that.
So, I mean, I understand there's that point. So that does leave a big box that you just can't check off that this is definitely not from this world.
Mm-hmm.
But scientists still seem to lean pretty hard, though, that it doesn't make sense still.
I think they're leaning more on that because the way that it looks, like the way the formation is. Because again,
Oh, yeah.
again, like that's not something that you would expect nature to make, like just come out in that formation. You
Oh,
know.
I don't, and like I said, it was one of those things that it just, like, I mean, you can probably see the image too right now. It literally looks like a ship that you're just looking down from the top of it,
Mm-hmm.
or the bottom. Now, there's no like definite like windshield or any kind of like observation port where the look out of you can see on it.
No.
But I mean, of everything we've ever seen as spaceshipy and looking spaceship, that's pretty fucking spaceshipy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's just upside down.
It's possible.
And
And
maybe it
basically,
crashed. Maybe it just kind of like over the years, it just kind of like fused itself with the seabed.
yeah, that was just gonna say that it basically just sat there for so long, and just everything just kind of like built itself around it.
Yeah, that's why it looks like that guard tower from a certain angle.
Hmm.
But I mean, I don't know how far they've actually dug. Like I said, this they didn't give like everything they've done to it.
Right.
But I don't know how far they dug down underneath it and tested minerals, or if it's just the very top that's the minerals are weird.
Hmm.
All I know is that they say that there's minerals in it that aren't found in our periodic table.
Okay. I don't know. That's a really weird one. Like I
Yeah,
can't.
I can't either because it's one of those ones that's just like sitting right there in front of you. Could be the key to everything that we know,
Hmm.
and just nothing, just
Yeah.
because of where it's located.
Yeah. Yeah. It's buried too deep that you can't really get it out.
Yeah, and being in the ocean, pressure and everything makes the retrieving it 10 times more harder. Now, if this would have crashed in New Mexico, this would have been in a hangar already somewhere.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah, this would have been straight up already. We would have had like the iPhone 90 out now.
And it would still look the same exact way and still work the same exact way.
But now it can tell you what your sperm count is.
And almost wipe your ass for
I'd buy it for that.
you. I'm sure a lot of people would buy it just for that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, didn't rip my headphones off, got caught on my table. But yeah, so that is the sea tells I had.
It was a good one.
But as we discussed though earlier, we had one more that I came to, or no, I think you came to me about.
Yeah, I brought it up to you last night.
It, that we decided that was such a good one that that'll be our next episode when we come back.
Yep.
And for all y'all know, y'all can do y'all's own research and listen to us later. But that will be. Now, how do you pronounce that? Yeah,
Orang Madan.
the Madonna. Now, it's inspired a bunch of other stuff too. It's a pretty famous legend too. Matter of fact, they just had a game come out, didn't they?
Yeah, the Man of Madan.
Yeah, and it's supposed to. Haven't played yet, so I can't tell you if it goes directly to the story.
Uh, it doesn't. It kind of makes it more like a ghost ship.
Ah, maybe it is a good ship.
From what we've read, it is not a ghost ship.
Wah, wah, wah. But it has a lot of good twists to it, guys. So
Oh yeah.
that because there's Men in Black, there's fucking classified documents, there are running behind the lines of trying to smuggle things in and out. It's big long history this ship has served into, so
Yeah. Yeah.
it definitely has the potential for the things that it's been and the things that it seemed to be haunted.
Mm.
But I don't think the instance that we're going to talk about though is necessarily boogie boogie.
Yeah, it's definitely not like a haunted thing. No, no way.
Yeah, but maybe we'll look into it more and come back to it at a later date with the ghost side of it if we can find anything. But as of now, we're just kind of excited about what we find.
Yeah.
So just make sure you stay tuned. Come back to us. Now we will be having what a 2 week break.
Yeah. Yeah. At
Break.
least 2-3 week break.
Yeah, because we got uh, my son's birthday is coming up next weekend, and I'm kind of like all into his birthday because he's the only child. So I got nothing else better to do besides spend my whole time with him. So,
And of
but
course, Thanksgiving's coming up, so
Thanksgiving follows that up, and
yep.
so then after Thanksgiving gets done, we'll start seeing back where we can start getting these going again. So give it 2, maybe 3 weeks. I'm guessing around two, maybe.
Yeah, about 2, 3 weeks, roughly around that. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll be back at y'all then. But as for that, that is what I had for the sea tales.
All right, man. It was a good one.
Well,
I enjoyed
yeah.
it. I hope you
from
all enjoyed.
from people driving ships from being jealous to all the way to hearing a bloop. Oh yeah, which we never played that sound. Go ahead and play the bloop real quick.
All right, hold on 1 second. Let me add
I don't
this.
think we ever played it for them.
No, we did not.
Now this is the sound that they heard. It doesn't sound like a whole lot, but you got to keep in mind. This is 2000. That was it.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like air pop, like air bubbles going through the
Yeah,
ocean.
sounds like that sound you when you part in the bathtub.
Yeah, just not as stinky.
No, if it 3,000 miles away. Ooh. But yeah, that is the sound of the blue. And like I said, it doesn't sound like a whole lot. It's just like the sheer like distance that sound had to travel
Yeah,
is what makes it the anomaly that it is.
yeah.
And with if it is a mammal, scientists all agree that whatever it is that made that would be the largest living thing on this planet.
Well, if it could survive at the depth that they said it was, then yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because if it to live at that depth, it would have to be massive.
Oh yeah.
I mean, or it'd have to be very small. But it being that small, I don't see it being able to make that sound.
No, no, not that loud.
Uh, but yeah, so that was the sound of the bloop, and y'all got to see the Baltic Sea anomaly along with what ate the great white shark.
Yep.
But thanks for joining in, guys. We, like I said, will be out for a couple weeks, and we'll be back at you soon.
Yep. So we all hope you have like a good holiday, and we
Yep.
hope we will.
Thanksgiving.
What's that?
Oh, I said, just telling them Happy Thanksgiving.
Yep. Happy
Since
Thanksgiving, everybody.
so,
Uh,
be good, take care of each other, and we will holler at you next time.
all right. We'll see you all in a few weeks. We hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all for coming in. Again, I'm Nick, my co-host Jason.
Laters.
Have a good night, everybody.